Hey guys, how's it going? So today we are going to have a look at all of the lore that is available in Shadow of Mordor, and I've completed the game and unlocked all of the lore. So today we're gonna have a look at all of them. First up is this Wall of Ithilden. You collect all of this scripture type stuff, and it is then translated for you once you complete the entire wall. So let's have a look at that.
Nani hir gelar Mordor. I vab gelebren iachortha I vorn. Tridaol hith efuen. An achared di werienin anan. Erio thelaeth gwrth. Edwenno o gwath. Trilaich pwygadol dagol. Nathadir edwegenin I nawdir edil. Nunamnin. Natha tognir inain, Iwath dangalnen. Ochedin valanor, Anadlethad nor eduath. Noded ramas enaldon. Mechan de morchir, Natha lekalad arfigad. Nin gostatha gwaith barn a gelatha.
Next up is all of the artifacts. These have memories that has a little bit of voice narration with it, so we will go through all of those. It will take quite a while because these memories are quite big, but at least it is narrated.
The first messengers have rolled into camp. They're reporting few casualties. We've struck a mighty blow against the forces of Mordor aligned against us. Let it be so, and not fools' idle chatter. Haggadorn, what news?
They say we've won a monumental victory! You'll not be needing all that Athelis you've been grinding, my friend. Few need healing on this day. And more's the wonder. They say the Golden King has brought back a prize. Sauron himself, wearing the heavy chains!
He's being sold a bill of goods, all right. And what do we get? More war! More taxes! Ha! Human sacrifice in the town square. You can hear the screams all day and all night, and we're made to worship this hideous thing. The tree kindling! The king's ears filled with rubbish from his advisor, the great chained wonder, Sauron. Now princely Sauron. Islandale is right. Numenor is ruined. The boats can't take us away from this charnel house fast enough.
Where'd you get off to, child?
I found this, Daddy.
This kind of rock is very rare. It comes from the volcano. There. Now, Doom is a foul place, angry and mean. It will explode when Sauron is near and plotting, spitting all manner of foulness into the air. Smoke and dust and rocks that burn the ground. It does this as a warning. I will not stay silent for long. Sort of like your mother. Don't tell your mother I said that.
So this rock is...
It is a rock, nothing more. And you needn't be afraid of a rock or Doom, which is silent to this very day. And sweetie, if you need a lesson from all this, why here's a fine one. Even a foul place like that volcano can produce beautiful things.
Here, found it in Udun.
What is it?
They got these machines, see? And they're digging up everything in Udun. They tears the land up. Then the slaves pick through everything. Clay and mud go to the kilns. If they find metal, that goes to the forges. Anything they can use, they take back. And if they find an old weapon or piece of armor, they hand it off to the Urukai, the big uns. Maybe to study, maybe to wear. I don't know. They're on the move for sure.
We must know what is happening in Mordor. We have other eyes there, but yours are sharp. You serve us well. You will return there and report back. The Council must not learn of your actions. Do not get caught.
He's in jail for a reason.
Saying what we're all thinking.
You want to live forever? Plow in this field?
The elves lord it over us. Don't they just? Sauron's right. We can live without pain, without growing old.
And you want to go to war to make that happen?
I want the king to listen to good ideas.
Well then, he should have nothing to do with Sauron. Fighting with the elves is not a bad idea. It's the worst idea imaginable.
They say the enemy is weak on the left, and that the dwarves will tear through them there. Maybe then we can leave these filthy marshes and go home. Yesterday, the enemy made a call for parley. We saw the emissary's party ride out, a terrible black figure atop a black horse, and flanked by two huge men, similarly clad in black. They were not allowed to ride among our lines. Amid suspicion, they would scout our disposition and report back to their vile master. Instead, a small group of elves and men rode out to meet him. We could not hear what was said, but there will be no peace. Around the camp there are whispers. They say the emissary's mouth blackened and burned with Sauron's words, and that saying them caused the emissary great pain. He promised only slavery and toil, and I am compelled to believe it. I cannot help but think we will never make it into Mordor. Only death awaits us here.
Black captains and Uruk-hai. Damned if I can't tell who's worse. Who are we working for these fools in the first place? We should be in charge.
Come on. Don't you want to crack the whip instead of having it cracked over you?
You'll be the death of us talking like that. Here now. Think I'm talking about talk? I'm talking about less whining, more mining. And there's the first throat I'll cut. Tonight. No more being bossed around by that damned Uruk-hai. We'll sneak into the barracks and bleed that spark dry. He won't be so high and mighty when he's dead. And
grog? We won't be going hungry. That's a fact. Remember me, filth? What the? Change of plans, lads. I'm in charge. We're gonna tear the Black Hand up. Don't you forget about me! Oh yeah, right. My, memory's not that good.
Do not move! By order of Gondor, trespassing on the Moradin is punishable by death. Do not... A woman? The outcasts now send women alone to steal from us.
Do your worst, Ranger, but I will fight.
You are but skin and bones.
I can still fight.
Gather what you can and run. Quickly, before the others see you. Shouldn't be let to starve. Quickly now. Go! Go! Sound it out now.
Fear no. Fear no. Why must you put me through this, Hirgon?
There's no one to blame but yourself. You begged me to teach you the words in my books.
I regret that now. What use is the page here in Mordor?
Here, look at this. It's a note for you.
My love. Be my knife?
Try again.
Knife?
Or... wife.
Wife? Yes, Hirgon. I am yours.
Are you Athelas or Hithless? Why can't I find anything in this almanac? Well, only one way to be sure. Cheers. Now I wait. This will either cure my fever, or I'll be dead in seconds.
It shan't do either. You'll need to ground it up for its healing properties.
You... the outcast woman.
I'm Erin. I never got to thank you, Ranger. There are but few of your kind on the Black Gate.
Duty clouds kindness in these parts. That's why I deserted. I'm Hirgon. You've let me into your homes. You've let me into your lives. And now you bestow upon me your greatest honor. Though I come from the Black Gate, though I was once known to you as the enemy, I turn my back on Gondor. You people, you outcasts as you've been named, are people of honor, people of strength. I have found love within your tribe, but for your tribe as well. And you have taught me of a life I thirsted for, but never knew existed. Now it is my time to teach you. I will impart to you all my knowledge of war. And the orcs push us, but we will find strength and push back. And this land will be ours.
idea, Hirgon. I hide outside the camp and pray they do not find me. They are taking anyone they find into slavery. If only you were here. But I know you must fight the Uruks, or there will be no chance any of us will ever be free. I fear I will never see you again, if they find me. I do not know how long I can survive. Your beloved wife, Erin.
Towers will be up soon. Don't know why we're calling them the Teeth. They should be called the Jaw.
Because they'll be hitting us there.
Indeed. Right in the jaw and as often as they can.
That's a grim outlook, brother. We'll be able to see into Mordor here, and bite if necessary.
You'll be building our watchtowers for us. Hard work will be rewarded.
Sir, do you mean hard work will be rewarded with a shorter sentence?
The traitors, the lot of you. Murderers and thieves. When I say rewarded, I mean I won't throw you to the catacombs.
The orcs are digging everywhere. Well, they've dug huge caves into the ground in the side of the hills and into the mountains where they do their work. Some of it's forges, and they got blacksmiths making armor and all kinds of weapons. They save on metal by making their armor for the front only. Like they're not planning on retreating anymore. Oh, and they got these huge pits too, bigger than I've ever seen. They pull in new orcs, maybe 100 or so a day. Some of them are those Uruk-hai. You can tell them right away, because they've got a head or so on other orcs. They come out fighting, and immediately start bossing everyone else around. No one's the wiser about me spying. But don't send no more crows. The other orcs might get suspicious.
The situation is very confused. How is it confused? I see the prisoners escaping, running towards the gates, which seem to have blown open by sorcery or sabotage. Archer, stand down! Sir, we're not wasting good arrows on those people. They've served their purpose. They're damned. They're damned well out of my hand. Mordor can take the whole stinking lot of them. And send my compliments to the captain of the gates. I suppose he sent me this lockpick as some sort of joke.
Not so brave now, are you? Hold him, boys.
Get your filthy hands off me!
It's simple, see? Do unto others quicker and harder than they do unto you. But at least you tried. Next time, try harder. This is going to hurt a lot. But you'll learn who's in charge.
No! Not old Scorchy! Anything but old Scorchy! never good news. Yeah, I saw to it he didn't.
All right, you stinking lot. Shut your goals. Shut it! That's some terrible news here. Terrible. Once again, the filthy humans sided with the dwarves, who had help from those sanctimonious bastards, the elves, who were rescued by, and I am not making this up, the damn giant eagles, slaughter thousands of our brethren in what we should all be calling the battle to unfairly gang up on the orcs. Our lands get invaded, our chieftains killed, and our people murdered. Where does it end? I tell you it ends here, and it ends right now. They can't stop the march of progress. They can't stop us!
See, there were two of them, and they both came in from the road with a hard look in their eyes, as if they traveled too far, seen too much. They were wizards, true, both of them caked in dust. And when one would talk, he'd stop to think, and there'd be the other to finish right up. Like they had one brain and two mouths. It was creepy for sure, but neither seemed to notice. I heard them say they were hunting the darkness. Damned if I know if they found it. But I guess those fellows can find trouble when they're looking for it.
Afraid to say, it's going to... It's going to hurt. I've done all I can. We've called for one of your people, but I don't... In the meantime, why don't you tell me about that? The medallion you're holding.
You just want to distract me. Very well. These are the two trees of Valinor. A symbol of the endless cycle. Life, death, and rebirth. Come closer, and I will tell you their tale. We must... I feel we must distract ourselves from the grim happenings of this day.
His wound was too great. I had thought...
You stayed with him. It is enough.
Here. He probably wants you to have it. It's broken, but...
No, human. You keep it. These are ancient things, those trees. We watch them wither and die with the cold. But always, they return. We see strength in their roots, and hope as they stretch into the light. Let this token remind you of the elf you tried to save. Of the bond between your people and mine.
The damn flies seem to be following me. I can't hardly go nowhere without them buzzing around. I was going to scout Tower Bond, the slave city. The orcs got a prison there, and enough people in chains to run the mines and the mills and make the city go. But there it was. One stinking fly. I could hear it buzzing, but couldn't see it or squash it. Thing was following me, I swear. I was out on a skip, middle of the Sea of Nurn, and the fly was coming along for a ride. Like it knew. Following me like all the time. I can't get the buzzing and humming to stop. It don't matter whether I'm sleeping or eating or squatting. I can hear them. They're in my damn head! Make them stop!
Someone watching over Queen Marwen at all times. I'm afraid she may do harm to herself. Now go. Mother, what is happening to you? Is this gift worth the price you are paying?
The end of darkness is worth whatever price. Such is the spirit of Nurnen Nitharion.
Nurnen needs you, Mother. These visions do not bring us enough benefit to befit your loss.
But they do, my child. I have seen a vision of the Ringmaker, Celebrimbor himself. It is through him alone that Nurnen may be saved.
Lovely, dear. The dwarves made this.
You've been drinking. You smell like a mule who's gotten into the rock gut.
It's a fine anniversary present. Look at the craftsmanship.
Our anniversary was last week.
It was brought in from the sea.
You mean you won this at the tavern? My husband. Get in the house.
Sharpening. You've got to hold your axe until its edge can split one of your beard hairs in two.
Oh, it's sharp enough to kill a growl. Now pass me the pipe.
Sharp enough ain't what the hunt's about, little brother. You've got to learn to respect the hunt. A keen blade for a clean kill. Without respect for the beast, we're no better than the orcs. Now, let's give her a taste.
For Durin, give a dwarf fair warning when you yank hairs from his beard.
Look at this, Torvin. Split the hair in two. There's hope for you yet. There, it's finished. A true masterwork. What a fine carving. The front, I etched us killing this here Mumak. And the back, our next prize, the mighty Graug. A beast like that is a hunter's legacy.
Show me the carving.
Isn't it magnificent? Such detail. Look at me striking the mighty beast. Blood everywhere.
And why am I etched running away from the Mumak in terror?
Artistic license, Brother Torvin. If you want to be the hero, I suggest next time you make the carving. Careful with the pouch, Torvin. It almost went in the fire.
Wow, that old thing. Time to get rid of that rag. It barely keeps the pipeweed dry.
It is a rag, brother. And I'll keep this souvenir from our first hunt till it turns to dust. Remember us tracking that great spider through Mirkwood nearly 60 years ago? Then drawing her out using live bait?
Yes, but why do I always have to be the bait?
You have a quality. You make things want to kill you. It's a gift, really. But Torvin, this was your first kill. Ours together is what made you a hunter. And I'll treasure it always, brother.
child knocked me senseless. And, brother, by Durin's being no. No, this shouldn't be. This is my fault. I should have been more prepared. I should have listened to you. I should have been a better hunter. Will be the hunter you always wanted me to be.
I wouldn't believe it if I hadn't seen it. The orcs here have an ally in the stinking flies. Mordor has its share of stiffs, and I had thought the flies were just getting their fill. But they're moving and attacking like one. Like they got a brain. I've tried to avoid them. They build nests everywhere, and you can hear them buzzing all the time. The orcs here seem to worship the pests, except of course when getting stung by them. The orcs say they're spies. And who are they spying for? They aren't yours, are they?
By the white waters of the river Anduin, by the colors so many they burn bright, may Nurnen now look to Marwen, to my gift of second sight. May the elements of earth, fire, air form gateway to worlds unseen. Spirits of Valinor, hear my prayer, and grant great power new to the shores, Queen. Collapses upon us. The Tower of Nightmare builds in Nornen. The Nameless One returns.
Mother, take this.
Thank you, my child.
These visions corrode you, and what medicine we still have is fast done away.
My visions are the hope of Nornen. If I must sacrifice myself for my people, so be it.
What happened in the Grey Mountains, Mother?
What happened, Lethariel? I left with the strength we need.
Who's this now? Some unhappy bandit named Forloon or Gorfab or something. He was screaming for his wife. The boys laid into him a bit. More than a bit. He dead? Nah. The boys know the big man powerful living and wants a word. This sack of dog might know where his thief pals are hiding. Strip him down. Take the ring too, and give it to the boss. He likes that stuff when he wakes up. By that time, we'd grown used to seeing them.
But the shorter one had grown cold, distant. He could read the leaves, the lines in a man's hand, the bumps on his head. He could see, you know? And I guess it got to him. The knowing. They'd go off together, and you could tell when they met up with the orcs. The sky would darken, and there would be hail, or rain, or winds that shook the trees. And then, sure enough, everything would clear. They never spoke about any of that. Although we'd always want to know. It's not, they'd say. The two left without saying a word. Only it was funny lying. Because the shorter fellow left behind all his maps and the odd little board he used to see into the future. Traveling light, maybe. Or maybe... I don't know. Maybe he thought he'd have no more use for it. Their names plenty of times, but we all forgot. To a man, we forgot. It was like they didn't want us remembering. After a while, they were just the two Istari, and sometimes the big one and the little one. Can't say how I can't remember. I remember the bigger one telling us stories of a goblin city, of a man who could turn himself into a bear, of the time when, well, I guess it didn't matter too much to him that some of his stories needed some cleaning up, or would scare a dead man out of his grave. When the bigger one left, he took his cane, but he left a walking stick behind, with all these little notches cut into it. He was keeping track of something for sure.
This ends now. Our union, as it was, has ended. Our will is irresistible. We have spoken.
It's good. A coin of the realm.
Sure, but it's the coin of Gondor's realm.
If you don't want it...
I didn't say that, Captain. But how about a few less of these and a little more of that elvish cloth you brought over from Eregion?
I think we can do that.
You've been recalled?
Aye, to Osgiliath. They're burning the bodies there.
It's that bad?
It's worse. We've abandoned Duathan. Either to the orcs or the outcasts. I can't imagine which is worse. We're thin on the ground here.
2 regiments worth called back home. Maybe a dozen more down with the sweats.
Maybe even more than that. And I don't think we can hide it anymore, no matter how they change up the patrols. The orcs may have already smelt it out too. They're getting uppity in Mordor. Here, look at this.
That's quite a blade. Where'd you get it?
Off an orc scout. I expect he won't need it anymore. You keep it.
Making things mighty difficult. This might be my last one in a long while.
My wife and I, we need to be elsewhere.
The lockbox. Open it. Now.
Why?
These are hard times. And I need to know you can pay. Up front. Well now, that's hardly enough for both.
We've always... That's all I have. Please, my wife.
Should have saved more. Now, room for 1 on the boat. You decide.
Please, my wife.
Yes. The Uruk have told me you to go on about her. Tell us what we need to know. Where are the bandits? Where are your friends?
I need to see her. I need...
Yes, your wife. Again. It has been a long time. And while the physical pain of your torture will pass, you will always hurt inside. The loss is like a gaping wound. You have suffered quite enough torment, and it is time for your misery to end. Your wife is waiting.
Damn you. They're in the woods. The hidden woods.
Take him away.
What you said?
Yes, our promise. You will be reunited with your wife, now long dead. Know you have betrayed your friends, and doomed yourself over a distant memory, a phantom. And when you are reunited with your wife, know that we will also carry your skull as a trifle, and a reminder that our will is irresistible. Now go. Your wife awaits.
They got the whole raiding party and ate the flag. See the webs? It's spiders. Filthy creatures. Likely coming up from the valley down south. We should clear it out. You should shut your big yap. Don't nobody come back from that place. Wonder if they're working for Sheila. Sauron used to feed her, and I guess she don't remember whose pet she is. It might be time for a reminder.
Next, we will have a look at all of the nature lore, and I will probably be reading all of it for you. Ghouls. These feral nocturnal beasts inhabit, or more accurately plague, Mordor. They live in damp, fetid places or underground lairs and only emerge from their nests at night when they swarm in packs to bring down prey. Ghouls are carnivorous and not at all picky. They will feast on dead, rotting flesh and innards, or one another if the situation calls for it. They do not speak, but are clever creatures, and their attacks make use of numbers to ensure a foe is overwhelmed. Targets unfortunate enough to be chosen by them are also assaulted by the ghouls' acidic and deadly venom, which the creatures can spit over great distances. Ghoul matrons. These toxic spitting ghouls are taller than their brethren, growing up to 9 feet tall. Their size is used primarily to bully and intimidate the lesser ghouls into submission. They serve as the hive leaders for their kind. They also crave blood and living flesh to an extent not seen with the other ghouls, and are constantly driving their minions out of the safety of their disgusting underground lairs, commanding them forth in massed assaults for fresh meat. Olog Graug. This oversized Graug is a nigh unstoppable juggernaut of wanton destruction, crushing and mayhem. These behemoths grow to 15 feet tall or more, and their skin grows tough and leathery, making them extremely resistant to all manner of arrows, bolts, and bladed or blunt weapons. They are feral beasts, naturally combative, highly territorial, and ill-mannered. Graugs are uncommon in Mordor, but pose a genuine threat to the Uruks, especially when their lairs are encroached upon. Even trolls steer clear of the giant beasts, and when they do not, they tend to die horribly. Sauron has begun to use Graugs to crossbreed powerful hill trolls, scaly monsters able to tolerate even a noonday sun. Of course, in Lord of the Rings and all of that, hill trolls immediately turn to stone if they are touched by sunlight. But Graugs do not turn to stone, so by crossbreeding the Graug with the trolls, you get the strength of the troll and the immunity to sun of the Graug. Although none of those types that they explain here appear in this game, I'm sure they will maybe appear in future games. Those crossed-bred Graug troll things. Horned Graug. Horned Graugs are rare, and they grow 20 feet in height. Few of these monsters currently exist in the wild, and fewer still roam freely in Mordor. They are feared above all other beasts in Mordor for their size, brute strength, and ferocity. Bringing one of these giants down requires supreme effort. If needed, it is possible at all. If indeed it is possible at all. As they are extraordinarily hardy and resistant to all manner of weapons. Their might enables them to claim Mordor's dank, fetid cave as lairs, and they defend these with a single-mindedly vicious fury. Legendary Graug. The legends tell of a Graug towering over all others, a 30-foot tall monster whose shadow cover half of Mordor and can grasp an entire forest in its fist. Perhaps as those who speak of it have suggested this is no monster at all but a demon of stone and fire, a Balrog of flesh. If such a monster exists, it would be a magnificent prize for the Uruk war chiefs gathering in Mordor. The Dark Lord knows of its existence and plans to harness it for his armies. A Graug of that size could turn the tide of any battle. By the way, I have the battle against this legendary Graug on my channel. You can just go have a look. I think I titled the video Hunting the Legendary Graug Part 3. So just go have a look, you can see me fighting this big mother. Ungol. These are oversized spiders, the evil, intelligent children of the Spider Queen Shelob. While they have taken Nan Ungol, Shindarin for Valley of the Spiders, as their primary home, they have since spread across Mordor, taking residence in its cave and other dark places, and are actively reporting back to their queen. These nests and lairs are littered with the crushed bones of their prey. They are not afraid to make victims of encroaching orcs. The recent stirrings in Mordor have emboldened the Ungol and piqued the curiosity of the Spider Queen, but to what end remains a mystery. Morgai flies. With Mordor's predilection for unburied corpses, Morgai flies have become a mainstay. Their nests can be found hanging anywhere there might be flesh, and any disturbance sends them flying into a frenzy. When this happens, the malevolent creatures swarm, working in concert with one another, creating a relentless stinging mass powerful enough to overwhelm even an armor-clad Uruk. The red markings on their back are reminiscent of the blazing eye of Sauron, and these creatures are extensions of his dark spirit. That probably means that they have the same kind of a dark spirit. I'm not too sure what extensions means, but oh well. Hellhawk. Mordor skies have seen their share of sparrows. Finches, eagles, falcons and crows, but the Hellhawk is a relative newcomer. They are smaller cousins to the winged fowl beast in their iris of Nan Morleth. These carnivorous reptilian creatures fly on leathery wings and use their elongated necks to clear the skies of other flying creatures. And as the Uruks are being bred to ensure dominion over Mordor's land, so are the Hellhawks being created to ensure that Dark Lord's will is exerted over the skies. The Hellhawks patrol the air day and night, guarding against spies, keeping a watch against invasion, and seeking out their master's enemies. By the way, in the game they make these Hellhawks sound so vicious and everything. They actually never attack you. I mean, I've completed the game and I've never been attacked by them. They are just basically like hawks flying around and you can shoot them right out of the air. But here the lore makes them sound quite vicious. Mordor rats. The rats of Mordor are multiplying. They have always feasted gladly on corpses, but they've recently becoming more daring and have begun to attack the weak and the sick. They don't care if a victim is an orc, man or ghoul. All flesh is food to them. Caragor. The common Caragor is vicious, disgusting, and a relentless killing machine. It is native to Mordor and the realm's top predator. Their powerful legs make them excellent sprinters and fair climbers. Their jaws are powerful enough to snap through bones and cut through all manners of armor. They attack and kill any competing predator, such as wargs, on sight. Orcs have begun to capture and cage these animals, although their attempts to domesticate them as cavalry mounts have been largely unsuccessful. The Caragor has proven remarkably stubborn and resistant to training. Dire Caragor. The Caragor, Shendaren for row of teeth or bringer of fear, is the ultimate predator within Mordor, having driven every rival species from wargs to lions into extinction within their territory. Like the lion, this enormous hunter lords over Mordor, striking terror into even the Graugs and great beasts of the Lithlad Plains. Since the return of the Dark Lord Sauron to Mordor, even more powerful and savage examples of Caragors have appeared. These dire Caragor can be recognized by their pale color and superior cunning. Many Uruk beastmasters who gain status by hunting and exterminating wild Caragors have ended their days in the jaws of these fearsome creatures. Morgul bats. The corrupted and bloated bats of the Mountains of Shadow have held vigil in Mordor since the Dark Lord's defeat. These bats leave their caves at night to suck the fluid purtescence. What the hell is that? From the corpses littering Mordor. Rotten flesh sticks in their teeth, decaying and creating a lethal toxin which is prized by the Uruks. The bravest of their journeys into the caves, the bravest of them journey into the caves to harvest the poison and coat their weapons. Those Uruks that get poisoned become horribly diseased and bloated, wearing their deformities as marks of honor. The poison slowly eats at their minds, sending them nightmares of domestic man-bat who preys on fear. The ghouls are the only predators of the bats. Those that survive naturally mix the poisons with their caustic digestive juices, creating a deadly cocktail of projectile vomit. I should really go Google this purtescence. I've never heard that word. Where were we? Great Beast. I actually haven't encountered a single one of these guys in the game. It would have been quite cool to be able to mount such a huge bloody thing. Because you can mount the Graugs and the Caragors, but you can't mount these. I've never seen these. Great Beast, a monster of this strength and size, can without reservation be revered as a great beast, a distant cousin of the Mumakil. These enormous quadrupeds can grow to 35 feet tall and make unrivaled beasts of burden for the Dark Lord's armies. They are powerful enough that no creature except perhaps a Graug or a huge Caragor pack can hope to bring them down. In the coming war, they will prove invaluable to the Dark Lord's growing armies as both transport and a weapon. Maybe we will see those great beasts in a DLC sometime. Nephriddle. The small flowering plant Nephriddle may have been born of magic in Middle-earth's distant parts. Its appearance is indeed otherworldly, Seen from a distance, a patch of its pale white flowers in bloom will appear to be shimmering as the stars do. Medicinally, nephrodil flowers, when consumed, function as an agent to soothe the humors and calm a nervous temperament. Its greenish stalks can be crushed and made into a thin paste to staunch blood flow. The plant has flourished across Middle-earth and now can be found in even its most inhospitable locales. And these you can actually have a look at. You can zoom in and out and you can turn it. The other artwork, unfortunately, you can't turn it or anything like that. Pipeweed. Known by many different names, the fragrant herb can be found throughout Middle-earth. Its leaves are commonly dried, cut and smoked in pipes by humans, hobbits and dwarves. Because of the weed's popularity as a smoking agent, farmers have taken to devoting portions or all of their fields specifically for its growth and sale. The flowers of the pipeweed plant are less in demand and almost bitter tasting, but there is some evidence that these too have some value. Skilled herbalists have suggested the flowers properly applied can dull pain and inspire the senses, which I think inspire the senses means it can make you a bit high. That's one way of saying you're high. You can just say, I'm feeling inspired. Lothrand, a segmented fungus sometimes referred to as a cave flower. Lothrand tends to grow in dark and dingy places. It is remarkably hardy, can tolerate great shifts in temperature, and is something of a delicacy for both the badger and hobbit folk. Healers traditionally boil the fungus, stalk and all, and create a broth to clear one's air passages. It is also possible to combine Lothrand with other common herbs to brew potions and salves which can, among other things, create a temporary and inflated sense of heroism. Rethmendhond. Beware the senses, goes the old wives' tale, saying that the old wives, and at least in the case of Rethmendhond, have been horribly misled. I might have read that one wrong. The tangle root, known as Rethmendhond, receives its bad reputation because of its persistence as a crop-wrecking weed, and its ability to stand firm against even the most energetic attempts to pull it from the ground. The trick here is to cut the roots at the surface and then squeeze the sap. Its sap can be used to bind wounds and soothe burns. Bind wounds, not blind. Rethmendhond is intractable, true but invaluable. Looks like it would be bad if you stepped on this. Ashuradan. Known to most as Ashuradan or blue mist, this rooted plant grows tall, hale and hardy across Middle East. Middle Earth. Did I just say Middle East? Middle Earth. Its persistence grows, and resistant to all attempts to remove it from tilted soil has also gained Ashuradan the nickname Farmer's Sorrow. It may be burdensome as a weed, but its medicinal value is significant. Its beguiling and sweet azure shoots are often added to draughts to alleviate the pain from kidney stones. Ashuradan's ground roots can, when chewed, diminish the pain of a headache, and healers have noted the plant's therapeutic value in the balancing and restoration of the humors. Blue milk. It would be hard, if not impossible, to mistake the blue milk. This rare but delicious mushroom sports a blue cap and stalk. When cut, it produces a blue-hued, milky substance that is commonly employed in a variety of medicinal concoctions. A single blue milk, when consumed, will quell hunger for up to half a day and can instill a sense of heightened awareness. The mushroom cap and stalk can be separated and dried, when ground into flakes that are used in soups or employed by healers medicinally in salves and unguents to treat sores. Mallows, a bell-shaped yellow-colored flower. Mallows is sometimes mistaken for the never-fade alpharin. This is only from a distance, however. There is no mistaking the two up close. The great difference between alpharin and mallows lies in the fragrance. Alpharin is pleasant, whereas mallows has a musky, skunky odor about it. Healers can employ mallows in combination with other roots, tubers, and flowers. Its primary usage is in lozenges and draughts that will effectively stop a cough or soothe sore throats. Mallow is native to Gondor, but likely has spread as results of the outcasts' exodus into Mordor. Damn, there sure are a lot of bloody plants. Algarin. The blood-red flower Algarin may have grown in Middle-earth for centuries, perhaps since its first age. Ancient texts suggest it was an evil omen, flowering where the bones of the dead men rest. According to legend, Algarin also thrives on mishap, death, and the suffering of others. The Uruks despise the plant because of its striking beauty and have targeted it for extermination to the extent that they have ignored the plant's usefulness as both an antitoxin and antivenom. Earthbread, a starchy potato-like root. Earthbread must be plucked from the ground, washed and peeled, and then cooked with salt to bring out its natural flavor. When prepared properly, its roots taste like a fine milled bread. When improperly prepared, it tastes like something far less palatable. Because the plant is something of a rarity in Middle-earth, little is known about its effectiveness as a healing agent, but the rangers of the Black Gate have sworn by this mysterious bread for years, and are able to make use of it in their travels. Guineval. Guineval is more commonly known as the twilight vine. Its delicate white flowering blooms are five-pointed and remarkably star-like. It's interesting to note that Guineval is common throughout Middle-earth, but never grows to a height taller than a dwarf. It also never grows where ivy does, although this particularity may be entirely coincidental. Herbalists know to collect the plant's flowers before they are in full bloom to use them in concoctions to cure colds and unblock stuffed noses. The vines themselves have some value as a binding agent as well, properly stripped, the vines can be cut and applied to wounds as makeshift bandages. Alpharin. The Neverfade. Alpharin is a remarkably durable plant with a year-long life cycle. In bloom, it produces a brilliant gold, yellow, and bell-shaped flower that loses neither its color nor its petals for the duration of its life. Alpharin's nectar is delightful and said to attract bees from miles. Further, it is also prized by elves and hobbits because it can be made into a fine, delicious syrup that is said to promote vigor and robust health. Some eschew the eating of the syrup and instead use it medicinally, as it can be applied to wounds to aid in healing and eliminating scars. Now Grimbas. Hobbits love mushrooms. Being discerning about mushrooms, they would not eat Nauburn grass. This foul-tasting toadstool holds little appeal as a foodstuff. It is edible, filling, and little more. The dwarves use Nauburn grass as a ration for troops on long marches, but only as a last resort. As a result, some dwarves call it dwarf's bread, but only as an insult to both bread and dwarfs. The cap of Nauburn grass can be applied to burn wounds, and its consumption can temporarily increase one's stamina. Otherwise, the fungus is best left to orcs and perhaps starving ghouls. Carandol. Brightly colored and cheery, this undersized and crimson-colored mushroom is a fine addition to soups, stews, casseroles, pies, cakes, cookies, crumbles, biscuits, breads, and pastries. It functions perfectly well as a meal on its own, as a flavor additive, or as a dye for both food and clothing. Carandol works well in medicinal applications, with its peculiar speciality being it serves to bolster a particular mixture of applications effective on an individual. This mushroom can often be found growing in the damp soil of Mordor and Mirkwood, taking refuge at the foot of the trees there. Orcamarth. This sickly green fungus stinks of rotting meat and is the one vegetarian staple of the Uruk diet. It's eaten raw by the Uruks, who swear by it as a means to increase bloodlust and maintain a killing frenzy. Harvested when it is at its most putrid, Orcmarth is one of the primary ingredients in both the horrid-tasting orc draught and orc grog. Morkai flies can often be seen hovering near these plants. They are, one supposes, the primary means by which the plant is pollinated. Other animals and races give the Orcmarth a wide berth. Athelos. The ancient Númenóreans were enumerated by Kingsfoil or Arthelas, and its presence in Mordor is no great mystery. The Númenóreans brought it with them when they assaulted Barad-dûr, and part of the war, the last alliance in Middle-earth's Second Age. The blue-flowered plant, has thrived on the continent ever since and is now employed by remedy makers in the variety of therapeutic potions. More importantly, the commoner can use Thalas without any knowledge of herbal lore by chewing the flower petals to create a numbing agent to apply to sore muscles and wounds. Ithelas, the flowering bush Ithelas, can be found in Middle-earth's southern realms. Its festive, almost beguiling appearance belies its deadly nature. The entire plant is toxic and deadly if ingested or even handled improperly. The Uruks refer to Ithelas as Sauron's gift and steer clear of the plants. Assassins across Mordor use special gloves to collect Ithelas berries. Ground and dried, the berries produce an odorless, colorless poison. Introduced into a victim's drink, it will produce the same deadly effect as Nightshade and Belladonna. Okay, so there we go, we are done with all of these nature ones. Next we go to people. First we start off with Talion. This is the guy you play as in the game. Talion, a Gondorian ranger. Talion was slaughtered on the Black Gate along with his wife, Loreth, and his son, Dairiel. Talion did not find peace in death, however, he was cursed and resurrected by a powerful wraith, who possesses his body and reforged him as an undying spirit of vengeance. Talion's swordsmanship, speed, resistance, and training have all been augmented by the wraith's presence within him, as though he himself possessed the power of one of the great rings. He can view the unseen world, lay his hands on his foes and exploit their fears and dominate their wills, making him a monster to the monsters. Talion is bound to Mordor, doomed to reside there until he can destroy the Black Captains who murdered his family and face the Dark Lord who commands them. Hirgon of Tarnost. Hirgon of Tarnost was a ranger stationed at the Black Gate. Hirgon served the guard faithfully, but fell in love with an outcast woman, Erin, and deserted, risking execution for leaving his post. Love prevailed. The two were married, and Hirgon lived among the outcasts, people who feared and hated his kind. When the Uruks invaded Udun, Hirgon's skills proved invaluable, and the outcasts often deferred to his experience. He was unable to stop his beloved wife from being captured by the Uruks, and seeks desperately to rescue her. Erin sang to the prisoners in lockup. She tended to their needs and fed them. Her father was the constable, a cold and hard man who served a rough justice. Her kindness softened many hard tempers, and she kept the peace as well, or perhaps even better than her father. Her fine singing attracted the attention of the ranger, Hirgon, and the two fell in love. Outcasts and rangers distrusted each other and sometimes killed one another. Erin married her ranger, and her pleasant nature overcame the scorn she received from her people. When Erin was captured by the Uruks, Hirgon was crushed, and Erin, even in captivity, knew her love would save her. Loreth, or Eoreth, I think that is an I, so it's Eoreth. was Talion's wife, Dirhael's mother and Halas's daughter. She was born and raised in Minas Tirith, where her father was a guard of the citadel. When she was 19, she and Talion fled Gondor together to build a new life on the frontier of the kingdom. She was killed along with her family by the Black Hand when Sauron returned to Mordor. Dirhael. Dirhael was Talion and Eoreth's son, born and raised on the Black Gate. Dirhael wanted nothing more than to be a ranger like his father and his grandfather before him. It was not meant to be. He was killed along with his parents by the Black Hand. The Rangers of the Black Gate. Gondor controlled the Black Gate for over 2 millennia after Sauron's defeat, with the Rangers keeping watch over Mordor. The Rangers supervised the building of the Towers of the Teeth, standing guard over the Gondorian prisoners who would later escape into Udun and settle there. Over the centuries, the Rangers suffered greatly, their numbers whittled down by the Great Plague and an invasion by the Easterlings. Eventually, a small but hardened crew stood to man the watch. A brave few who were quickly overwhelmed when Sauron returned. Wraiths. There are many restless spirits within Middle-earth who have not been able to find peace in death. Wights, wraiths, and ghosts of terror, Sauron the Necromancer calls them all within the borders of Mordor. Should he rebuild his power and be able to command the lost army of the dead, he will be unstoppable. Uruks, the Great Orcs. The Uruk is the elite of all the orc breeds. They are grown in huge vats as leadership caste and are taller, stronger, better able to withstand daylight and more ill-tempered than the other lesser orcs. They are captains and commanders, bred for war and determined to take back their homeland for the Dark Lord Sauron. They impose their will with brute force. They hate beautiful things. They will not admit to any fears, revel in slaughter, and enslave any who stand in their path. They are certain their Dark Lord has returned to lead them to their destiny as the rulers of Middle-earth. Gollum. A pathetic creature, Gollum has all but forgotten his original name. He was Sméagol, a hobbit corrupted beyond redemption by the power of the One Ring. Sméagol obtained the ring, affectionately called My Precious, through treachery and took it to a new home under the Misty Mounds. Under the ring's evil influence, Sméagol lived for centuries, his mind destroyed and his body twisted into a pale skeletal form. The orcs have preyed on calling him Gollum after his horrid choking cough, and the name stuck. Sméagol was no more. After 4 centuries, the ring grew restless and sought a new owner in the hobbit, Bilbo Baggins. But Gollum has not forgotten his precious. He has journeyed into Mordor to find it, drawn to the power of the Maker, the Ringmaker. Gollum makes a surprising amount of appearances in this game, by the way. He appears like at least 10 times in the story. So that's pretty cool. Any game with Gollum in it is pretty fucking awesome. Ratbag, good old Ratbag. I have a video of him becoming war chief on my channel if you want to see it. There's the one storyline quest where you have to make him war chief, but he is the most useless piece of shit orc ever. He fears everything. Ratbag the Uruk craves power without knowing what he would do with it. He cannot heft a heavy weapon over his head, but he will stupidly perhaps attempt to claw his way to the top of Sauron's army by aligning with his people's greatest enemy, the Gravewalker. He has deluded himself into believing the Ranger will help him to become a war chief, and once he has power, he will be able to keep all that he has achieved. His many scars bear witness to his ineptitude and history of failure. He is a craven little thing whose only chance of success is in spite of himself. Uruk captains. Uruk captains oversee Sauron's army. They enforce construction and demolition projects, craft battle plans, and administer discipline to their underlings. The Uruk hierarchy is combative. Captains win their place by slaughtering those above them, and keep power by destroying underlings who might oppose them. This ensures endless competition among the Uruks, and winning the rank of captain means an Uruk is one of the strongest, deadliest, and most devious of their kind. As a measure of their status, captains often carry the weapons and armor pried from the corpses of their foes they have killed, and bears the scars from the battles they have fought. Uruk War Chiefs. Uruk War Chiefs are the elite. They kill their way to the top and defend their position with absolute ferocity. They gather a squad of bodyguards to serve under them and protect them from the constant threats to their authority and their lives. The bodyguards are loyal as long as they fear their master and will defend him, but the war chief is always on his guard against the knife in the back. As such, war chiefs generally avoid being seen and only emerge after being drawn out into combat by a powerful foe. To refuse combat with such a foe would be a sign of weakness and spell doom for the war chief. I like this guy's sword. On the one side he can cut enemies' heads off, and on the other side he can fucking saw through a tree if he wants to. I wonder when he uses that side of the sword. Built-in can opener there, you see. That's the can opener end. Sawbones. As with elves, Uruks excel at war, do not seem to age or sicken, and rarely die naturally. But when they do need healing, they call for the Sawbones. These Uruks are imbued with a basic knowledge of herb lore and anatomy, allowing them to perform rudimentary medical treatment which generally involves some form of amputation. Given their propensity for hacking limbs, they often moonlight as cooks and brew the putrid and flammable orc grog that keeps the Uruk's army on its feet. Executioners. Brutal executioners serve to keep Uruk society from tumbling into an endless spiral of revenge, murder, and slaughter for slaughter's sake. The Uruks have few rules and fewer punishments to enforce their bloody sense of order. When the executioner is called to settle a dispute, heads roll, and the matter is concluded. In Mordor, the executioners have expanded their roles to include the punishing of unruly creatures and slaves. They excel in administering discipline and their lessons never need repeating. Trainers. Uruk trainers can often be found in the arenas, the kind called the proving grounds. They are responsible for preparing their chargers for war, teaching them where to stand, how to march, how to hold their weapons, and most importantly, where to stick them. They are the loudest of their kind and incapable of accepting weakness in their underlings. Mordor's conquest has provided the trainers with a near-endless supply of slaves to serve and practice dummies, and the proving grounds are littered with corpses. The Uruk war machine grows even stronger under the trainers' watchful eyes. Slavers. Slavers move Mordor. Labor moves Mordor, and the slavers move the labor. They are the ones who process captured humans and dispatch their chattel to sites across Mordor via the Black Road. The Uruks realize slave labor has freed them to focus on forging the Dark Lord's great war machine, and are looking beyond Mordor for more captives. There are whispers that they are being aided on this front by a mysterious figure, a dwarf of the coin. Beastmasters. Beastmasters are spawned for the job no Uruk would rightly volunteer for, taming and slaughtering the wild beasts of Mordor. They are ideal for the dual role as hunter and killer. Mordor is a place of wild beasts, requiring dominion. Beastmasters track and capture the creatures required to service the Dark Lord's army, and they exterminate the monsters that might impede its progress. They're the ones who trap caragors and pen them, or bring down the enormous great beasts to be used as cargo carriers. Beastmasters also clear campsites and outposts, destroying the native ghouls, ungol and rats, so as to make the sites usable for their brethren. Torvin. The dwarf hunter Torvin enjoys stretching a tail to its breaking point, and hunting. He and his brother Gorvin left their home in the Orokanai to stalk Middle-earth's greatest prey. The trophies back up some, but not all, of Torvin's magnificent stories. He is often spoken with a reference of an epic brawl with the Mumakil, and the many Ungol that have died by its battle-wounded hands. Now Torvin has come to Mordor alone, seeking to bring down the great mythical White Graug. He is fated, however, to meet the Ranger. He will teach his new ally how to strike terror into the hearts of his enemies by mastering Nirn's deadly beasts. This that they're talking about here, all of these Torvin teaching the guy how to tame these beasts, those are actually quests, and I have the videos of all of those quests in my channel. It's hunting part 1, 2 and 3 if you want to look at it. It's quite cool. They hunt 3 different types of monsters. Lethariel. Lethariel is the daughter of Lady Marwen, Queen of the Shore. As an infant, she was the only survivor of a trading ship which fell prey to the raids of the tribesmen. Queen Marwen adopted the infant as a daughter, and she is now the first in line for the throne. No one questions Lethariel's authority. She grew up quickly among the tribesmen and has taken their values as her own. A tough warrior, she is resolveful and honorable to a fault. She has never surrendered in battle, even when it cost those following her their lives. and she's also pretty fucking beautiful in the game. The Outcasts of Udun. The Outcasts are descendants of escaped Gondorian prisoners. Their forefathers built the Towers of the Teeth and the Black Gate many centuries ago. Their escapes into Udun allowed them to create new lives for themselves. Even if the land was harsh and unforgiving, they were free. Now Sauron and the Uruks have returned and there is no freedom to be found within the land of shadow. Tribesmen of Nurn. The tribesmen are descended from corsairs who settled the Sea of Nurn following Gondor's retreat hundreds of years ago. As the time passed, they gave up raiding and settled down to fish the sea and farm the land. However, they never gave up their warrior traditions, and when the Uruks came to their people of Nurn were able to put up a fierce resistance. Slaves. The Uruks are building Sauron's war machine on the backs of conquered and enslaved humans. A burgeoning slave trade exists throughout Mordor, with newly captured slaves sent to Thorbrand and then shipped out via great beasts. Throughout Mordor, slaves are working in foundries and mills, growing food for the Uruks, and suffering on poles of object lessons in obedience. A slave's life consists of toil and beatings. This is new Mordor, and human slaves are making it a reality. But the Gravewalker has brought a small glimmer of hope back into their lives. Celebrimbor, a shining light of the elves of the Second Age of Middle-earth. Celebrimbor was Lord of Eragon, and the greatest elvensmith to be found in the mortal lands. He was strong, fearless, proud and unforgiving, but his pride was his undoing and undoing of his kingdom. He was seduced by Sauron in fair guise, and side by side they forged the Ring of Power. 7 for the dwarf lords in the Hall of Stone, 9 for the mortal men doomed to die. In secret, Sauron forged the One Ring, the Master Ring, to control all others. Lady Marwen. Marwen, daughter of Adderall, is the queen of the tribesmen of Nurnen. In her youth, she dreamed of restoring the corsair traditions of her people, leading raiding parties as far south as Harad. She was a fierce warrior, and her crew regarded her with awe. After she adopted the infant Lethariel, she settled down to lead her people wisely. Recently she became haunted by nightmares of the Tower of Sauron torturing her people. Seeking counsel, she turned increasingly to rituals and spent many hours in her room staring into the flames. In them she heard a wise voice counseling her to seek out the Ringmaker. Only his power could save Nurn. The Hammer of Sauron. The Hammer was once a man, a stretcher-bearer for Gondor, dedicated to retrieve the wounded. His life changed on the slopes of Mount Doom when he retrieved Sauron's mace after the Dark Lord fell. When he took up the weapon of Sauron, he realized that his life had been wasted in saving others who sought glory in war. If men wished to die gloriously in battle, he would grant them their wish with pleasure. He became doomed to a bloodlust that would never be sated. He has waited millennia for the Dark Lord's return to Mordor, and now his purpose has been revealed to him. By the way, I have a fight of this guy. It's like the third final fight in the game. I have the entire fight on my channel if you want to go look. It's like the best boss fight in the entire game. The Tower of Sauron. As the tower's evil has grown, so has his stature. He is trapped inside armor that will not grow with him, and his agony is exquisite. He was once a Nuremberg, and as he can recall, he either built a tower or was locked inside one. His appearance is horrific. To stand near him is to feel the revulsion he feels for himself. Even his fellow captains despise the tower, although they have come to rely on his great corrupting evil. His propensity for slaughter is unmatched. He makes his victims feel his pain and he revels in it. I have the fight of this guy also on my channel, by the way. But this fight wasn't as cool as the hammer one. I have this guy's fight also on my channel. The Black Hand of Sauron. The Black Hand is the greatest and most feared of the Black Captains. His mere presence of the battlefield spreads terror amongst his foes and servants alike. Some say he was once a great king from the east who brought Sauron the head of 2 Istari as gifts. Others say he returned across the seas with Sauron after the fall of Numenor. Still others claim that he is the Dark Lord himself, once again taking fair form within Mordor. There are many stories of his origin. One of them are lies. All of them are lies. The only thing which are certain are that he is the master of deceit, and he serves his Dark Lord with absolute loyalty. By the way, the background behind these 3 guys, this Black Hand of Sauron, Tower of Sauron, and Hammer of Sauron, is that once Sauron was defeated, he was so powerful that Sauron could not be completely killed. So Sauron took the form of 3 emotions, or whatever you want to call it. Hammer of Sauron is the might of Sauron, so it's the embodiment of the might of Sauron. The Tower of Sauron is the brutality of Sauron, so the Tower of Sauron is the embodiment of the brutality of Sauron. And the Black Hand of Sauron is the embodiment of the deceit of Sauron. So that's the 3 whatever you want to call it, emotions or whatever, that took form in real life after Sauron was defeated. It was his might, his brutality, and his deceit. Because his deceit is the most powerful, because obviously if you follow the books and all of that, he screwed over in the entire Middle Earth by sending out all of those rings, the 9 rings to the humans and the 8 rings or the 6 rings or whatever to the dwarves. And he told them basically, listen, here you can get these rings, they are incredibly powerful. And once everyone put the rings on their fingers, he had the one ring that controls them all. So he deceived the entire Middle Earth with that little ploy of the rings. That's why his deceit is the most powerful. Although this deceit fight, which I also have on my channel, it's shitty. It's really not a good fight. To be honest, the hammer fight is the best. They really underdid the fight with the Tower of Sauron and the Black Hand of Sauron a little bit. It's quite shitty fights, to be honest. The Talons of the Black Hand. The Talons are the elite personal guard of the Black Hand of Sauron. The Black Hand was schooled in sorcerous arts at the side of the necromancer, and he personally draws forth the talents from spawning vats of Barad-dûr. They are tested in battle immediately after they are dragged, screaming, into a world of anger, hatred and fury. There are always 5 talents, and whenever one falls in battle, his body is returned to the vats, where his death can feed the creation of his successor. If this corpse cannot be successfully carried back to Barad-dûr, then the remaining talents are sacrificed in his stead. In the game, you actually, the finishing objective to completing the game is to control all 5 of the talents, which is the war chiefs, the veteran war chiefs. So that's why their eyes are blue, because as soon as Talion, who is the main character that you play as soon as Talion controls a person, then their eyes becomes blue. Then he brands them and takes them under his control. So that's why Talion is in the shot with the black hands of Sauron. And here's the embodiment of Sauron after he was defeated. The Black Captains, the Nazgûl, were once Sauron's greatest servants. With their defeat by the White Council at Dord Guldur, the Black Captains have stepped in to fill the void. These are men of great evil, clad in black and doomed to undying service. Their purpose is to dominate Mordor. Sauron's power is spent and he has retreated to the ruins of Barad-dûr to reforge his might for the great war to come. Their original names are lost. Now each one of the evil 3 is an aspect of the Dark Lord's great evil. The hammer is Sauron's might in battle made flesh. The tower is his malice incarnate, and their leader, the Black Hand, is the master of lies. So the lies is the deceit, the malice is the brutality, and the might is like the power. It's very good artwork, this, I like it a lot. Although the hammer looks the most badass in my opinion. This guy has a bunch of blades on his back, but through the entire game, he never fights you with the blades actually. So, I mean, it's a cool concept to have those blades on his back that he can pull out anytime he wants, but I mean, he never uses it, so it's a little bit of a letdown. The Bright Lord. From the moments of his creation, the One Ring was a blazing beacon of unveiled power. The instant it was upon the finger of the Dark Lord, all of the wise became aware of Sauron's treachery, and there was war. Sauron's army took Eragon and he dragged Celebrimbor back to Mordor. The Elf Lord was forced to apply all his arts and all he had learned at the side of the Necromancer to mask the blinding power of the One with subtlety. His role in bringing such evil to Middle-earth doomed the spirit of Celebrimbor to remain in Mordor until such time as he can confront his nemesis and find redemption. Sauron. The Dark Lord Sauron claims Middle-earth as his rightful dominion. Only he has the power to bring order and halt the steady decline of this war since it was abandoned by the Valar. To preserve the world, he convinced the Elf Lord Celebrimbor to work with him on the Rings of Power before forging the One Ring to master all of the others. He was betrayed when Celebrimbor forged 3 Elven Rings in secret. In his rage, he dragged Celebrimbor back to Mordor to make him reveal the locations of these 3 and to perfect the one, only to be betrayed again. Recently, he has defeated the White Council in Dol Guldur and driven back to Mordor, but he is determined that this shall be his final defeat. From here in Mordor he will reforge his strength to conquer Middle-earth. From there are none with the power to oppose him. So Sauron was quite a fucking idiot. He was betrayed twice by Celebrimbor. So even though he is the master of deceit and the master of lies, he was deceived and he was lied to twice by Celebrimbor. And of course Celebrimbor is the Bright Lord. He's the guy who, through the entire game, you are bound to. So it's basically, where's that other one? This side, the left side, is Talion, it's you, and then this other side is Celebrimbor, who is the Bright Lord. So it seems Celebrimbor is quite a little liar. He even deceived Sauron twice. Okay, so that's all of the people. Now here is all of the lore. Ithilden, also called Star Moon, are ancient symbols that can be found carved into the living stone and ruins of Mordor. They are relics of an ancient kingdom, invisible to all but the Wraith, who can see into the unseen world. The Wraith within Talion can view and activate these symbols of power. More to the point, he feels a distinct connection with them. They are relics of his past. Mirian. These coins were minted by the elven smiths of Eragon, and Mirian became the currency of that realm, prized throughout Middle-earth. As with Ithilden, Star Moon, with which they marked their doors, Mirian was wrought from mithril, which they traded with the dwarves for. The currency would commonly be traded between the races at locations such as the market of Khazad-dûm. To honor the dwarves, Mirian pieces featured Durin's door on one side and its great forge on the other. In the Second Age, the Dark Lord Sauron relentlessly sought the destruction of Mirian, and now the coins are supremely rare relics of a long-dead kingdom. Ruins. Behold the ruins. Elvish smiths detailed their great deeds and commemorate the triumphs of long-dead warriors with these enigmatic and powerful markings. The smiths employ arcane craft to create their ruins, recording the final fate of their enemies with a metallic compound Ithilden, and attaching them to their armor, blades, and great bows. In this way, the elves created and cast a unique legend for their fabled weapons. This legend would grow with each great deed. The Uruks would come to know weapons adorned by them in name, as they have Glamdring and Orckrist, and to fear its great power. Glamdring and Orckrist is like legendary weapons in Middle-earth lore, although you don't encounter those weapons in the game. Maybe next time. Mordor, a land of shadow and the home of the second Dark Lord of Middle-earth, Sauron. Mordor beckons to spirits and calls dark things to its twisted heart. It is home to many monstrous creatures, among them Caragors, Graugs, and the Ungol, monsters neither the Uruks nor their Dark Lord have tamed. Its burning heart, Orodruin, currently lays dormant. It has been still for thousands of years. Sauron's fortress, Barad-dûr, has not been fully raised and is cloaked from sight by the Dark Shroud. The Uruks have seized all of Mordor from the Black Gate to Nurn, hundreds of miles to the south. Many innocent people have been trapped with little hope to escape. So that's pretty cool. I didn't know that Sauron's fortress, aka Barad-dûr, was there in the mountain. That's pretty cool. It's too bad they didn't allow you to visit the fortress at all. That would have been a fucking cool campaign. Maybe in a DLC or something a bit later they will unlock Sauron's fortress. That sounds like a kick-ass place. Morannon. The Black Gate of Mordor is a formidable defense that spans the gap between Mordor's Ered, Luthien, Ash Mountains and the Ephel Duath, Mountains of Shadow. It has alternately protected Mordor from Gondorian invasion and Gondor from Mordor. Its walls are built of stone and impregnable, the magnificent structure that was created during the Second Age by the Dark Lord Sauron's forces using the power of the One Ring. Later, after Sauron's defeat at the Battle of Dagorlad, Gondorians used prison labor to construct the Towers of the Teeth, Narcost and Carcost, on either side of the Great Wall. Rangers of Gondor manned the gate for over 2,000 years, but their numbers have declined dramatically since the Great Plague. That's quite a wall, it's like the Great Wall of China. Udun. The Valley of Udun is a harsh and unaccommodating land used primarily as a way station for armies with the ambition to breach Mordor or attack from it. The sprawling land was once populated by Gondorian outcasts, but it is now commanded by the Orcs. Udun is bounded by the Black Gate in the north and the Iron Jaws of Carcach Angreng to the south, defended by a reoccupied stronghold Durthang and cut by imposing Black Road leading to the fortress ruins of Barad-dûr, where the Black Lord has retreated after defeated by the White Council at Dol Guldur. Holy shit, these names are confusing. Why can't they just call the place a normal name? Like, whatever, you know, Boston or whatever. They need to call it fucking Udun and Carcach Angreng and Gondoldur and Barad-dûr. Jeez, these names are fucking tongue twisters. They should use it on a game show as tongue twisters. Orodruin. Orodruin, better known as Mount Doom, is the greatest volcano in Middle-earth and is the fiery heart of Sauron's realm. It was in the Samath Nuer Chambers of Fire, which the mountain that Sauron forced the One Ring to dominate all Middle-earth, and this is the only place where it can be unmade. Orodruin has been dormant since the One Ring was cut from Sauron's hand on its very slopes. It will once more burst into flame when Sauron has rebuilt his power in the ruins of Barad-dûr. By the way, in this scenario that they are explaining here, where it will once more burst into flames when Sauron has rebuilt his power, at the end of the game, once you complete the game, this mountain actually erupts. So apparently the game creators would have you believe that at the end of the game, once you have defeated the third black hand, that Deceit guy, the embodiment of Deceit, once you defeat him, the volcano actually erupts. So apparently at the very end of the game they give you a little bit of a teaser, because the volcano erupts, and that is supposedly a sign that Sauron has rebuilt his power and all of that. So that might be a little bit teaser to the next game, or maybe to a DLC or something. Barad-dûr. Barad-dûr, the Dark Tower, has lain in ruins since it was cast down by Gondor after Sauron's defeat at the end of the Second Age. However, as long as Sauron survives, the foundations of Barad-dûr can never be destroyed. It is to these ruins that Sauron has retreated since his return to Mordor. Hidden behind a sorcerer's veil, he has begun to rebuild power for the Great War of the Ring to come. Oh, so that's pretty cool. This is where Sauron is now supposedly hiding. It would be pretty cool if they can also make that into a kind of a DLC / expansion thing. Carach Angren. The iron jaws of Carach Angren are formed by spurs from Mordor's Erdul Luthien, or the Ash Mountains, and its Ephel Duath, the Mountains of Shadow. The solitary gateway between the Valley of Udun and to the north and the plateau of Gorgoth to the south. This pass has been heavily modified to augment its defenses, and its Black Road has been dramatically widened to prepare for the Dark Lord's armies. Under Uruk's supervision, slaves at Carach Angren have constructed the Gorthuar, an oppressive towering stone and steel monument to Sauron, one paying homage to the Dark Lord's past and celebrating his inevitable victory over the kingdoms of men. By the way, in the campaign you tear down that Gorthuar thing. That thing there is the Gorthuar, and you actually tear that down in the game. This thing is the thing that you tear down. The Gorthuar. A mere glance at the Gorthuar is sufficient enough to instill dread in any human. This is more than an ostentatious representation of the Dark Lord Sauron's power. It is a statement of intent and a supernatural expression to his presence. A giant stone-carved Sauron, magnificently clad in armor, holds in its hands chains to which are tethered the subjugated kings of men. Gorthuar radiates contempt and power. Sauron's will built the statue just as it restored him to power after his defeat by Gil-galad and Elendil. Look upon me and despair, Gorthuar demands, or commands. Uruk's Hollow. Before Sauron's return, Uruk's Hollow was a seasonal market town known to the outcasts as the Slabs. Now it has become a slave camp where Sauron's army gathers captured men to be processed before being transported to work sites throughout Mordor. Only the strongest survive their incarceration in the Hollow, and those that die due to the rampant starvation, disease and abuse become meat for the Uruk sawbones or the Mordor rats that share their cages. Despite the grave hardships of life in the Hollow, the prisoners have not lost all hope as stories have begun circulating of a vengeful spirit who strikes terror in their oppressors and which helps the outcasts to escape the hell that Mordor has become. The Black Road. Mordor's central highway, the Black Road, runs from the Black Gate through the Valley of Udun, intersects the Gorgonth Plains and terminates at the edge of the Sorcerer's Vale, protecting the forest of Barad-dûr. Since its construction in the Second Age, the Black Road has functioned primarily as a passageway from Middle-earth's many invading or retreating armies. The road is back again under Orcish control and as an ominous portent being widened by the enslaved people of Udun to support the Dark Lord's growing armies. Barad-Selma. Nothing is known about these enigmatic ruins' creation or destruction, save for the haunted visions of the Wraith possessing the doomed Ranger Talion. These towers are familiar. The external enemy Time has cloaked their purpose, obscured their forms, and made distant memory of their creators. Until such time as their origins are uncovered, we can only classify these ruined monoliths as Barad-Selma, Towers of Starlight. Unseen, they are shadows of Mordor's distant violent past, reflecting memories of the lost elvish land Eragon. The Barrows. The Uruks will not admit to feeling fear, but they avoid the Barrows. They believe these caverns to be haunted by the vengeful dead, the spirits of men and elves slain at the Battle of Dagorlad. The truth is not so far from their suspicion. Because these caves are avoided by the Uruks, they make an ideal refuge for the outcasts of Udun, and the Barrows are the headquarters of their leader, Eragon. They are connected to a series of caves which lead out of Mordor, emerging on the other side beneath the Black Gate. It is through here that the outcasts can hope to escape from Mordor and reach the freedom of Minas Tirith. Barad-dûr. Barad-dûr was built by the forces of Gondor immediately after the defeat of Sauron at the end of the Second Age. Its purpose was to watch over the Sea of Nurnen and to deter invading fleets traveling up the Gurranth River to the south. It was abandoned when the Great Plague of TA 1636 struck the east, and the retreating soldiers carried the plague home with them to Osgiliath. The garrison never recovered, and the abandoned fort was occupied by the Corsairs of Umbar and renamed the Maw of Hope. It then became a base of operations for piracy and Corsairs raids into Ithilien and Khand. Over time, the raiders settled down to fish and farm for the fertile lands of Nurn and became the tribesmen. As all of these places are being explained, we obviously know of Mordor, and Mordor is like the main, you could call it the capital of Middle-earth. But Mordor is just a small place in Middle-earth. There are a bunch of places around it, like Minas Tirith, which is also well known as the Elvish capital. But there's also other places like Osgiliath, Ithilden, Khand, all of these little places around Mordor and all of that. It would have been quite cool to see like an entire map that is illustrated, so that you can get to know all of the places around Mordor, because Mordor is basically the place that gets all of the attention. The other places don't get a lot of attention, to be honest. Duurthain, a Gondorian stronghold built in Udun after the defeat of Sauron by the Last Alliance. Duurthain stood watch over Carcrech Angren and the lands beyond it. Rangers posted at the garrison patrolled Udun for more than 10,000 years, but attrition, invading Easterlings, and the Great Plague weakened their ranks. Eventually the stronghold became impossible to hold. It was abandoned in the Third Age of Middle-earth in TA 1640, and since Sauron's return has been taken over by the Uruks as a military fortress. Nirn. To outsiders, Mordor is often perceived as a dead realm, but this is not the case. Its southern region, Nirn, is fertile enough to feed the Dark Lord's numberless hordes. Its soil has been enriched by ash from Orodrunn's eruption, and its grasslands are fed by water from the Sea of Nirn. Many of Mordor's beasts reside in Nirn, among them Graugs, Caragors, ghouls, hellhawks, and a host of other nameless horrors. The land was once the dominion of the tribesmen under the rule of Lady Marwen, Queen of the Shore. Now the Uruks rule, but the few remaining free tribesmen refuse to admit defeat and mount whatever small resistance they can against their oppressors. This Nirn place is the second campaign in the game. The first campaign is where the Black Road is, right on top of the Black Road, and about halfway through the game you reach the second area, and that is Nirn. It's a very beautiful place. It's green all over. But unfortunately there's only the two places in the campaign, that the Black Road place and then Nirn. You only get those two places, those two locations in the entire game. Sea of Nirn. Natives claim Mordor's inland sea is haunted. Waters from Nirn irrigates crops, but since the Dark Lord's return it has become bitter and undrinkable to men. Nirn fisheries harvest strange, beaked abominations that howl in the nets. Sailors who worked the trade routes before Uruks captured Nirn speak of multi-tentacled horror powerful enough to capsize and destroy the great slave barges the Uruks used to transport their captives. On the banks of Nirn, the fortress city of Thorbrand operates as a city of slaves. Uruks process their captives there before shipping them to sites across Mordor and beyond. So that would be pretty cool to see that huge fucking tentacle monster that is capsizing the ships of the Uruks. That would be pretty cool to see that. Maybe they can implement that as a little DLC or something. That will be freaking cool. I like fighting huge monsters. Ered Glamhoth. Ered Glamhoth, Evil Hosts, is a place of great horror even to the evil inhabitants of Mordor. The Uruks and the children of Shelob avoid the haunted passes of these mountains. It is here that the Tower of Sauron has made his fortress, and the land around echoes with the screams of the living and dead alike. This is where you fight the Tower of Sauron, in this location. There's a quite cool little cutscene cinematic where he sits on that throne. It looks pretty cool. Once again, I have the video of this whole scene on my channel. You can just search for Tower, you will probably find it where I fight him. It's a pretty cool fight, but it's a little bit underwhelming. It's not as cool as the one where you fight the Hammer. Nurnen Fishery. The Uruks have seized the Nurnen fishery, expanding it to better feed their massive armies. Although the Uruks do not yet understand the scope of their offense, the men of Nurn do. They speak of the Watcher, a demon of the sea, a furious spirit that will brook no intrusion into its waters and will suffer no defilement of its own. In time, the Watcher will rise up in anger, churn the waters with massive tentacles and lash out with a razor-toothed mouth at those who would defile the Sea of Nurnen. The fishery has been destroyed before. So this is the huge fucking creature they were talking about at the Sea of Nurnen. So that's the Sea of Nurnen, and this is the Nurnen hatchery, where this huge fucking thing is taking out the hatcheries and the orc ships and all of that. Fort Morn. Fort Morn is the hub of the trading route of southern Mordor, connecting Thorbrand in the west with Nargoth to the north and the Eastern Guard along the Khand Road. It is a staging post for the slaves building Sauron's war machine and also holds the food to feed Mordor's growing armies. The Rings of Power. 3 rings for the Elf Kings under the sky, 7 rings for the Dwarf Lords in the Halls of Stone, 9 rings for mortal men doomed to die, 1 for the Dark Lord on his dark throne, in the land of Mordor where his shadows lie, 1 ring to rule them all, 1 ring to find them all, 1 ring to bring them all in the darkness bind them, in the land of Mordor where shadows lie. And that is the little poem that was said in just about all of the movies also, in the Fellowship of the Ring movies. The One Ring. The One Ring was forged for a single purpose, to give its lords dominion over Middle-earth. It is an obscene expression of the Dark Lord Sauron's will to power. The One Ring was forged at Ordrun by Sauron and perfected by his captive, the Elven Lord Celebrimbor. Sauron invested much of his power into the One Ring, and Celebrimbor, unbeknown to the Dark Lord, gave it a will of its own. The One Ring was used to destroy the Elvish realm of Eragon. It raised the Black Gate and Barad-dûr. Its wielder seemed indomitable until Isildur cut the One Ring from the hand of Sauron at Dagorlad. It has been missing for more than 2,000 years. Now it wants to be found. And unfortunately, you do not encounter the One Ring in the game. But maybe in a future DLC you will encounter the ring. And here's a bunch of visions. I think it's cutscenes, but we can have a look at it. Okay, so that's all of the visions. And that's everything, I think. Obviously, I'm not going to go through all of these tutorials. That's like, it's just the tutorial videos that show you all of the skills and that stuff that you can do in the game. So I think basically we are done. I certainly enjoyed this. I really enjoyed learning all of the different lore and all of that stuff. Especially like this one where they showed all of the different locations. It makes you think, when are they going to bring out like this huge fucking monster and all of that. That's gonna be pretty cool. So that's basically it, I think. Thanks for watching. If you watched the entire, probably like 2 hours that we've been going now, if you watched the entire 2 hours thing, thanks a lot. And I'll see you next time. Visit my channel to see more of my videos, and please subscribe while you're there.